According to the American Cancer Society, there are more than 14 million cancer survivors in the United States. Additionally, it's estimated that approximately 1 million people in our country receive a diagnosis of cancer each year. As cancer care treatment continues to improve, people are surviving and living longer with their diagnosis, and treatment models are becoming more inclusive to treat the entire person. Studies have shown that patients who have an overall better quality of life have better outcomes and increased survival rates. Welcome to Building Community. I'm your host, Donna Rodriguez. Today, I'm joined by Lesley Cunningham, the Director of Cancer Care at Beth Israel Deaconess, Plymouth, and Pauline Alighieri, Executive Director of Friends of Mel Foundation, for a conversation about cancer care and the art of living. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're very happy to have you both here today and really looking forward to this conversation. One of the things, and I don't want to sound as if I'm being too basic, but could you start by just telling us what is cancer?
Well, simply, our body is made up of cells. And what happens when cells break down or morph and then accelerate in growth inappropriately is the formation of a cancer. It happens in all of different areas of our bodies, different organs, in the blood, on the skin. And those things can happen based on the aging of the cell. They can happen because of exposures that the body has gone under. They can happen because of different stressors that have hit the body. And it can happen, as we know, because of genetics. So that's really very simply what cancer is. It's the cells acting up and causing trouble.
And it really is, a cancer is a description for over 100 different types of diseases.
It is. It's very specific. You know, it's very difficult when people get exposed and enter our life because of a diagnosis of cancer, because it's very specific to the cell type, treatment, prognoses, just the way we approach the whole treatment plan of the patient is very specific for each disease type.
And the American Cancer Society, if people are interested, have on their website listings of all of the different types of cancers and what some of the statistics are if people are interested in more information.
That's right. The internet has been a friend and a foe when it comes to cancer diagnosis. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, what are the things that we should all be aware of and be looking at to take care of ourselves and our families? What are some of the things we can be doing that are preventative, but also to make sure that we know when we should be seeing a doctor?
Well, the thing is, you know, that we should all be making sure that we are connected with a primary care provider so that there is someone that grows with us and knows us. There is guidelines for different screening modalities, be it for colon or skin or breast. There's now a lung screening for high-risk patients as well. So those things we should definitely avail ourselves of according to the recommended guidelines. We should take a look at our general lifestyle. We are very aware now that there are different things that we expose ourselves to that can cause a problem in our body. We know that there's stressors that when we carry too much weight, when we drink alcohol in excess, when if you are a smoker, if you are inactive, all of those, and a stressful lifestyle. We need to always be aware of, you know, what we're doing with ourselves, so that, you know, we can remain healthy and educate ourselves and educate our children as to how to take care of themselves as well.
General healthy lifestyles.
That's right.
From day one.
That's right.
Now, regarding at least awareness, early detection makes a difference with treatment.
Early detection is key. Early detection is key. This is October, so it's breast cancer awareness. And we're really lucky as women that this month has become such a special month, and that you see pink everywhere. And there's opportunities for to support research for breast cancer, that there is educational opportunities. I'm very busy this month just, you know, carrying the torch for Get Your Mammogram, and talk to your provider and make sure that your girlfriend and your mom and your daughters all know about self-breast exams and things like that. Because if we can catch it early, we can take care of it.
Some of the
so
numbers are 100%.
it's huge. It's huge. It's really huge. And we know that 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer, and just because we're women, and just because we have breasts. So it's really important to start to be comfortable with ourselves and our body and our care and the things that are causing stress to us. As we talked about, and and share that.
Do you think have you found in your experience, or for either of you, that there are things that prevent people from getting to that step, from having screenings? Do you think there's ever an issue of fear or just not understanding the importance that people can be missing out on opportunities for early detection and care?
Yep. I definitely, think so. It's a very busy lifestyle that we have. So we know that if, you promised yourself you're going to get your mammogram every single year, where the heck did that year go? And you can get off track really easy. There's any number of reasons that people don't go to the doctors. There's people that are fear. I know that if I haven't been taking care of business, I don't want to go to the doctor and have them tell me that I'm not taking care of business either.
That I'm overweight, or I'm not eating correctly.
Absolutely, we put a lot of barriers in front of ourselves. As far as taking care of ourselves. So there is the obvious things. Healthcare coverage, transportation, financial reasons, obligations. Many people are double dipping all over the place, taking care of elderly parents or young children, and there's just a lot of life is not easy all the time. True. So there's a lot of things in the way to taking care of yourself.
And taking care of ourselves is also taking care of our family.
That's exactly it.
It goes hand in hand.
That's right.
If we're not able to be healthy, we're not able to make sure that they get everything that they need.
That's it.
Now, as we've learned more about cancer treatments, I understand that the medical community has really gotten much more involved in holistic treatment of a patient. The body is just one part of the chain in treating cancer. Would either of you like to talk about that a little more, and the impact that different types of treatment, in addition to physical medical treatment, have on a patient?
Yep. Well, I think Pauline and I were actually talking before we started today about a couple of things that her organization is offering relative to distress planning and acknowledgement of those screenings, and also survivorship. And
the Friends of Mel Foundation really started kind of like on a fluke. And my friend had breast cancer, and we just kept going. I never expected to even still be here 10 years later.
Would you like to tell Mel's story?
Well, I would a little bit. She was a flight attendant. I was a flight attendant for Delta Airlines, and while she was in treatment, her friends would bring her colored bracelets from Turkey, or soap from Nice, or lacquered pins from Russia, and she would leave them on the seats for people who were in treatment with her at Mass General. So when she passed away, people started saying, where can we get those bracelets? And we thought, wow, we have a wonderful opportunity to maybe raise some money for cancer research, which it was very important to her because she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. It was in 24 lymph nodes, and that's a really serious diagnosis. But she really believed that new medications, clinical trials kept her alive. She lived for 5 years, and so that was our goal, never thinking that we'd go beyond the $5,000. And it wasn't long before I was going to Mass General with a stack of checks, like made out to Mass General, because that was where we wanted to donate the money. And by March, it started in a kitchen, Marie Bradley's kitchen, a good friend of Mel's, and 6 months later, we had given Mass General $300,000.
That's amazing.
I know. It's pretty exciting.
Great.
So again, we just kept waiting for it to end. I had the bracelets in a storage unit in Weymouth. We'd go to the community room at the senior living in Hingham, and we'd be mailing and counting and all of it. And again, we just never thought we'd continue to grow. But by the end of the year, we gave Mass General $1 million for cancer research, which was very exciting to say that, we've underwritten Dr. Beverly Moy's breast cancer research for 3 years. It was very exciting. But at the same time, I was talking to people and listening to women. And one of the things we did is we would donate to or try to support educational conferences that they had for women and men with cancer. But we learned very quickly, women would say to me, where do I go with lung cancer? Where do I go with colon cancer? Now we're talking 10 years ago, there have been a lot of changes. And of course, when you talk about breast cancer and the numbers of women who have breast cancer, it's really, it's huge.
As Lesley said, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast
Right.
cancer in their lifetime.
But at the same time, there's a huge market around it. Pink fatigue, everybody's doing it. The pro of that, I think, is that there's a ribbon for every cancer now. 10 years ago, it wasn't like that. There's a ribbon for every cancer. Colon cancer, lung cancer. Next month is lung cancer. Last month it was ovarian cancer. So there's a huge, the end result of all of that is that the awareness is really being raised.
And I think that that's a very good point. Organizations like yours and so many other organizations that support research and create supports for people who have cancer really have brought the conversation out on the table. We talk about this very comfortably and we talk about it all the time, and that makes a huge difference. Can we get back to talking a little bit about, from the medical standpoint, could you, and this is going to be a very difficult question, I think, could you describe when somebody is going through treatment, physically, what might they be experiencing? And I know that's different depending on the type of cancer and depending on the severity. Yeah. But I'm assuming there are many invasive treatments that people are having to subject themselves to cure their body. But that's just the physical part.
Well, so in my history working in the field, it has now become very much an outpatient approach. When I first started, I used to work on the inpatient floor, and we used to have lots of people under treatment. And now, with the development of drugs that take care of side effects, it's pretty much an outpatient treatment. So that being said, the biggest thing that people complain about is fatigue when they're going through cancer treatments. That's the number one thing. But we can take care of a lot of that kind of stuff. Some of the biggest things, which I think we were talking about wellness, the stressors that are happening in their life, cancer diagnosis, when you get, someone you love gets a diagnosis of cancer, that affects the whole family.
It does. And that's something that I really would like to talk about at length in our second half. So when we return, we're going to be talking more about the holistic approach to treating the person as well as treating their family and the supports that are available in our communities.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Building Community. We'll be returning right after this break.
In 2009, Score for a Cure was founded after 4 women on one soccer team were diagnosed with breast cancer. Since that time, this nonprofit charity has held an annual soccer tournament, the proceeds of which are used to assist women in eastern Massachusetts as they battle breast cancer. The Score for a Cure tournament in March welcomes teams in many divisions, including women, girls, and high school co-ed. For more information, please visit our website at www.scoreforacure.com. Join us as we score for a cure.
Welcome back to Building Community. I'm your host, Donna Rodriguez. In today's episode, I am joined by Pauline Alighieri, the Executive Director of the Friends of Mel Foundation, and Lesley Cunningham, who is the Director of the Cancer Care Center at Beth Israel Deaconess, Plymouth. When we were going to the break, ladies, we were starting to touch again on the fact that a cancer diagnosis and cancer treatment is not just a physical issue. It's an emotional issue. It's a spiritual issue. It affects so many parts of a person and their entire family, to the point that care is not just physical care anymore.
That's right.
Can you talk a little bit about that and the importance of the psychosocial care of a patient?
Our cancer program, as many others, we have a couple of key people in place. We have nurse navigators, we have social workers, we have dietitians, and we have supportive programs that address the individual needs and also the needs of the family as they go through this. When a patient comes into the clinic and they have a new diagnosis of cancer, we assess their psychosocial stress level. and they can indicate to us whether this diagnosis has negatively impacted them financially. Are they really concerned because they're a two-income family and they're afraid that the person being treated isn't going to be able to get to work? Do they have the insurance coverage? Do they have high deductibles? Lots of times folks have huge transportation issues because their partner can't take off the time to be driving them. They don't have extended family around them. They have small ones they're caring for. So we have to look at those issues. Some people have housing issues, and some people are dealing with depression and any number of things that we have to take into consideration as part of the whole treatment plan, so that we're guiding them and walking with them through this whole process. So luckily, the Commission on Cancer has taken this issue right to the helm, and they are dictating that accredited cancer programs have to address the psychosocial screening of patients right from the start. Mm-hmm. So we're not only have we been doing this all along, but now it's a reportable thing that we have to take care of in order to keep our status as an accredited center. Right. So we're really pleased that the Commission on Cancer identifies that. Right. We support that.
Now, your center is also, when you talk about some of the additional supports that you provide, there are so many different things that you have, from support groups to holistic healing in addition to traditional medical treatment. There are so many different options, and you really do customize it to each patient.
We try to make sure there's something available for everyone, and we encourage people to take advantage of those things that are available, and that this is not something that you have to do by yourself. Mm.
And there's another important piece to that. When somebody has a cancer diagnosis, they can talk to you, they can talk to social workers and folks who are there to care for them and support them, but they might not feel that you truly understand what they're experiencing.
Right. So what we did is we worked in conjunction with the American Cancer Society and developed a mentorship program. So folks that have gone through treatment before, under the guidance of our social worker, and folks from the American Cancer Society go through a mentorship training. So we're able to match patients up with other folks that have walked the road before.
That is wonderful.
Yeah, it's really great.
Do you have any stories you can share with us from that, or how that has impacted some of your patients?
It's really funny that you asked, because as I was leaving the cancer center today, I was walking behind one of the mentors and the social worker, and obviously I can't disclose what they were talking about, but it not only impacts a patient under treatment, it empowers the folks that have already walked the road before, because survivorship is a tough thing too. People think that, once you get through all of this, you're done, it's behind you. It's not behind you. There's been a permanent imprint, on you, and to be able to navigate those roads can sometimes be very difficult as well. So being a mentor is a great outlet for sharing your experience. Yeah,
it becomes mutual support.
Absolutely.
Between the two.
Oh, I have no doubt in my mind that everybody's gaining. It's a win-win.
Now,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For the Friends of Mel Foundation, you said that your organization really started for raising money to be able to support research and treatment, and it's really grown to look at the whole person and really to start to offer those supports. Well, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, along the way, we met wonderful people like Lesley, who work on the front lines with cancer patients, and we also met a lot of cancer patients, women especially, who would talk to us about their needs that were that were not being addressed. And so the second year, or actually since we donated to research, we started to support programs that provided free support for cancer patients, whether it be a support group, yoga, just free support for children, for couples. And the more we listened and the more we saw, we felt that we could reach the greatest number of people by creating our own conference. So I pulled together a committee of people like Lesley that are on the front lines with cancer patients, men and women, and we designed a conference to specifically meet these needs. The hospitals 4 years ago, now it's wonderful because, as Lesley said, it's mandated. That distress screening, addressing that, and addressing the cancer survivorship planning. That has to be in place for them to maintain their certification. But this is our 5th conference. 4 years ago, it wasn't happening. So we started, and there's research to support the claim that people really don't like to go back to the hospital. Mm-hmm. It's like post-traumatic stress, the smells, the sounds. It's a difficult experience, cancer, and treating it. Then there was the jury was out. When does survivorship really begin? You know, when a person is diagnosed or after they finish treatment. This was something that we talked about for our very first conference. Who are we going to offer this to? And my personal opinion, again from talking to people, is that when someone is diagnosed with cancer, that's when this whole psychosocial piece really begins. And that's when someone really starts, their life changes. And I'd like to say it sometimes it goes back to being the same, but it doesn't ever really. So this is why we've decided to host our conference. This will be our 5th one this year, and we have a lot of things that we're addressing that we feel are important to cancer survivors. One is the distress screening. We have an authority coming from Los Angeles, City of Hope, to address that. We have the founder of the New England Cancer Survivorship Coalition, who is going to be speaking on cancer survivorship planning, which is really important as well, because when people are finished their treatment, they don't really know where to go. So having a plan empowers them. And then we also have 18 workshops that people can choose from, and we offer integrative therapy samples throughout the day. But the things that I feel are really important beyond the distress screening and the cancer survivorship planning is couples. You know, it changes their whole relationship when one of the people have cancer. How do they parent? How do they continue in their role as husband and wife? One for caregivers, because 2 years ago we realized that was our first caregiver workshop, because this is like, talk about stress. They have no voice, and they're trying to be strong for the person they love. They a lot of times have to advocate for that person because the person is so paralyzed in fear they don't even hear the conversations a lot of the times. So that, and then we have someone who will be talking about navigating insurance issues, affordable health care. There are a lot of issues that have changed in the healthcare industry. Employment issues.
You're addressing a younger population as well, aren't you?
Right. We've done it every year, but this year we really expanded the program because 70,000 young adults are diagnosed with cancer every year. And it's very, very different because they have no place to go. And the peer support is critically important for them. So we have one of the workshops is getting connected in Boston so that you know what is available for support within the young adult community. And then the other one is self-image, body image, because a lot of times they've had physical issues through the cancer experience. And I know when my kids were dating and in their early 20s, they couldn't go out of the house without the hair being a certain way, the shirt being a certain way. So, add that to some kind of disfigurement. It's just really makes their journey even more challenging. And then there'll be an open forum where they can all connect and talk and support each other, which is so critically important. That's one of the things we last year changed. We put a little more time between the workshops so that people could have the opportunity to talk to each other, because it's so important for them to be able to share that. And then we have people at the conference who represent different support groups on the South Shore that people can take advantage of, which is huge. So those are the only things I could think of. Chemo brain, we speak about chemo brain, addressing those things like fatigue and neuropathy, the side effects of cancer treatment symptoms.
You really have so much going on and to be able to offer folks throughout that conference. And it's something you hold annually?
It is. And the feedback we've had, because it is a lot to offer, but there's so much that needs to be addressed, is when we asked, what could we do to make it better? And the answer was make it 2 days.
Oh. That is fantastic. Yeah, but I think it's so important because you are just two examples of our medical establishment and our nonprofits and support organizations working together to really help the whole person throughout their treatment. And as you say, cancer survivorship, once people have finished their treatment, if they may not want to be directly connected medically all the time, they do have supports and services in the community to help them regain their life and to be able to move forward.
Some of the, I don't want to say best, but many of the nonprofits that I've met people through were started by survivors. It's their way of healing. They and becoming involved in a mentor program themselves. I know some of the hospitals have that in place where survivors are mentors, and it empowers them and helps them heal and
Helps people take control back of their
right.
lives if they felt that they had lost it.
right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. We're closely connected with the Joe Andruzzi Foundation, and he is a cancer survivor of lymphoma, and he's been so wonderful to a lot of our patients. And she's absolutely right. You know, it's taking action.
And we have in our
Survivors
program,
taking action.
in our program book, beyond the classes, we have 3 pages of resources. And when you said Joe Andruzzi, that reminded me to mention that, because people don't know where to go, and they're a wonderful organization.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And we're also going to be offering on our website your contact information for resources
Great.
so they can connect to, if anybody is interested, can connect to additional resources. I'd like to thank both of you so much for joining us today. It's been a wonderful conversation. I've really enjoyed your time.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Great.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Building Community. For replay times, resources, and more information, visit pactv.org. And if you have show ideas, comments, or questions, email buildingcommunity@pactv.org. Thank you.